Despite escalations in diplomatic tension between India and Canada, Khalistan goons continue to get a free run there. And despite intel on Khalistani protests outside Indian embassies, Khalistani goons continue their tirade against India. In fact, in Toronto, Khalistan supporters held an anti-India protest right outside the Indian High Commissioner's office. In Otawa, protesters in front of the Indian embassy held Khalistan flags to show their support to the Khalistani cause. The police remained mute spectators to the protests. Indian agencies, in fact, had alerted Indian diplomats in Canada, warning them of a violent stir in Canada by 20 pro-Khalistani groups. Khalistani groups have given a call to shut down Indian missions globally. And after the alert, security has also been beefed up outside the Indian missions. Well, we are moving on now to this exclusive news break on Times Now. Trudeau government has been exposed. The voice of terror on tape has been accessed by Times Now. Extortion by a K-terrorist. That is what it establishes, the audio that Times Now has accessed. The Canadian government has hit rough waters and its captain, Justin Trudeau, is struggling to sail through this storm. Over the last few days, not only in Canada, finding itself increasingly isolated over its allegations against India, it's clearly struggling to shrug off its reputation of providing a safe haven for terror on its soil. And India, in fact, has also intensified its crackdown on the pro-Khalistan network that appears to be thriving abroad and specifically in Canada.
Hello. हाँ वीर किदा मेरा भरा ठीक ठाक है लंडा बोलने हरी कह दो ते मेरा भरा एवें भज्जा फिरदा लोकां नूं आंदा फिरदा मेरे तो पैसे मंगे जे तैनूं मैं फोन लाया तेरा है सारी डिटेल ही मेरे तो तेरी भी तेरे भरा बलजीत दी भी ते मेरा भरा हुण तेरे तो पैसे लेने जेड़ा पहले ही ढंडोरा फिरदा फिरदा ते भज ला जिथे भजना ही आवाज सुना ली पहलों तो तैनूं किसे होर ने फोन लाया होना पैसे वाले गल करके फोन करके जे नबेड़ना आया नबेड़ ली नहीं तो किन्ना चिर भजेगा पुत फिर दोवां जो एक दा नुकसान करके दूजे तो लाऊंगा हुण दोवां ने रल के देने ते तां वेख लियो ते बाकी जिथे जोर लगदा ला ली जिथे भजना ही भज ली तैनूं बा पुलिस ने पहले ही वह रहा उन्हां तैनूं ਉਂਗਲ देनी देनी आ ते बाकी जे तैनूं लगदा बचा लैणगे ते फिर आपदा जोर ला ला तू ओके हेलो हाँ वीर किदा मेरा भरा ठीक ठाक है लंडा बोलने हरी कह दो ते मेरा भरा एवें भज्जा फिरदा लोकां नूं आंदा फिरदा मेरे तो पैसे मंगे जे मैं फोन लाया तेरा है सारी डिटेल ही मेरे तो तेरी भी तेरे भरा बलजीत दी भी ते मेरा भरा हुण तेरे तो पैसे लेने जेड़ा पहले ही ढंडोरा फिरदा फिरदा ते भज ला जिथे भजना ही आवाज सुना ली पहलों तो तैनूं किसे होर ने फोन लाया होना पैसे वाले ते गल करके फोन करके जे नबेड़ना आया नबेड़ ली नहीं तो किन्ना चिर भजेगा पुत फिर दोवां जो एक दा नुकसान करके दूजे तो लाऊंगा हुण दोवां ने रल के देने ते तां वेख लियो ते बाकी जिथे जोर लगदा ला ली जिथे भजना ही भज ली तैनूं बा पुलिस ने पहले ही वह रहा उन्हां तैनूं ਉਂਗਲ देनी देनी आ ते बाकी जे तैनूं लगदा बचा लैणगे ते फिर आपदा जोर ला ला तू ओके
We also have our executive editor Padmaja joining us live from the newspaper to help us understand what we heard in this conversation, extortion call there, Padmaja.
Absolutely. And you know, here is what India is very clear about. One, it has completely dismissed and rubbished the allegations made by Justin Trudeau. But Swati, now what India is saying, that let's go a step further. And questions need to be asked of Canada, that you are crying foul about what is happening to your citizens. Fine, go ahead and investigate about who really is behind the killing of Hardeep Nijjar. But what about India's sovereignty? What about the repeated requests and evidence that India has given to Canada about people like Lakhbir Singh Sandhul alias Landa? The audio that you just heard is believed to be by Lakhbir Singh when in fact he is sheltered in Edmonton, Canada. He fled India, Swati, in 2016. And mind you, this is not some great warrior for a Khalistani cause. These are people who are petty criminals. This man has 18 cases against him, including that of murder, attempt to murder, drug smuggling. These are people who are actively destroying the future of the youth of Punjab. The very people for whose cause they claim to speak, they smuggle drugs and arms into India and they destroy the future of the youth. He fled in 2016 when a kidnapping case was lodged against him. Subsequently, the man is sitting there, and India's case, Swati, is this: that why are such people continuing to be sheltered by Canada? It's not like we have not given them evidence. It's not like we have not told them about their whereabouts. In fact, just last week, the NIA also issued a 10 lakh rupees reward against this man whose voice you heard just now. And that is the reason why the expectation is very high that when External Affairs Minister Mr. S. Jaishankar speaks at the UN, he is going to make India's stand crystal clear. One, don't make false allegations. Two, give evidence if you have about India's involvement. And three, start acting against these petty gangsters and criminals masquerading as Khalistanis who are still finding shelter in Canada. Swati.
Absolutely. Shelter being provided by the Canadian authorities, and many in fact have started questioning the Canada government on that particular issue. Thank you very much, Padmaja, for getting us all those details. This individual that you just heard speaking on the phone has several criminal cases. He's been booked for murder and smuggling of contraband, and is also one of the key conspirators in the 2022 rocket attack on the Punjab Police Intelligence headquarters in Mohali. Now, we're also given to understand that India has intensified its crackdown against the Khalistani elements, and we're given to understand that several raids are currently taking place as well. While the pro-Khalistan terrorists appear to get a free run in Canada, India is going all out to wipe out this terror network. Over the last 48 hours, raids have taken place in parts of Firozpur in Punjab. Associates of Lakhbir Singh Sandhu were raided by the Punjab police, but as you just heard in the audio tape, he seems to be operating at will from Canada. So he is operating freely from Canada. We have Gurpreet joining us on the broadcast with more details. This once again exposes, the country, Canada, and the manner in which it is providing a safe haven to the Khalistan elements, and it knows very well the kind of network that they are operating there.
Well, that is the question which has already been come up in so many investigations which was being carried out by Punjab Police. And Punjab Police had already made a dossier through the MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, that had been sent to the Canadian government also. These gangsters who were operating here in Punjab, they have already been migrated to Canada and other foreign lands. And from there, they are also giving threatening call to the various businessmen and other people also. They are trying to settle their scores from there. So that type of investigation has already been carried out. We have seen since this Khalistan issue is already going on between India and Canada, we have seen multiple raids are being conducted by the Punjab police at the various locations to find out their associate, the gangsters who are operating from the foreign land. They are trying to trace all the associate of these gangsters so that these gangsters associate should be nabbed and immediately legal action taken against them. So now the question is getting more clear. One side, the Prime Minister of Canada, he has already made a very serious allegation against India, and some of the documentary evidence which the Punjab police had already given to the Ministry of Home Affairs, to the Canadian government also, so that these extradition of these people who have been involved in the multiple criminal cases in the state of Punjab, they should be extradited from their country so that the legal action should be taken also. So that's the main question which we are raising at this point of time. One side, the Prime Minister of Canada, he has leveled a very serious allegation without giving evidence. On the other side, the police, the Punjab police have done a multiple investigation where they have found
Absolutely.
all
India has submitted dossiers. India has in fact sent out several requests constantly highlighting the role of these K-gang and Khalistani elements, but Canada fails to act against them repeatedly. Gurpreet, stay on with us. We also have Colonel Larsen Singh on broadcast. Before we go across to him, let's listen into that conversation, that extortion call made by Lakhbir Sandhu.
हेलो हाँ वीर किदा मेरा भरा ठीक ठाक है लंडा बोलन ने हरी कह दो ते मेरा भरा एवें भज्जा फिरदा लोकां नूं आंदा फिरदा मेरे तो पैसे मंगे जे ते तेन मैं फोन लाया तेरा है सारी डिटेल ही मेरे तो तेरी भी तेरे भरा बलजीत दी भी ते मेरा भरा हुण तेरे तो पैसे लेने जेड़ा पहले भी ढंडोरा फिरदा फिरदा ते भज ला जिथे भजना ही आवाज सुना ली पहलों तो तेनों किसी होर ने फोन लाया होना पैसे वाले ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਜੇ ਨਵੇੜਨਾ ਆਇਆ ਨਵੇੜ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਚਿਰ ਭੱਜੇਗਾ ਪੁੱਤ ਫਿਰ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਲਾਉਂਗਾ ਹੁਣ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਨੇ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਦੇਣੇ ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਵੇਖ ਲਿਓ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਲਾ ਲਈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਭੱਜਣਾ ਹੀ ਭੱਜ ਲਈ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਬਾਅਦ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵੈਰਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਉਂਗਲ ਦੇਣੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਬਾਕੀ ਜੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਬਚਾ ਲੈਣਗੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਦਾ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲਾ ਲਾ ਤੂੰ ਓਕੇ
Across to Colonel Arsen Singh, you know, openly Colonel Arsen Singh, the Prime Minister of Canada, without putting any proof, any evidence in public domain, saying we have credible allegations, made sensational allegations against India. And here are, you know, reports coming in. One such audio conversation that is doing the rounds now, which shows how these elements, these pro-Khalistani elements, pro-Khalistani terrorists are operating freely from Canada. Repeatedly, India has highlighted this, but Canada fails to act.
Well, apart from highlighting it, the Prime Minister of Canada will do well, you know, to read a book. And I suppose he knows about it. It's a 2004 publication by a famous Canadian journalist called Stuart Bell. And the book is named Cold Terrorism. That is the main title. And the subtitle is that how Canada nurtures and exports terrorism, you know, around the world. So this is the book wherein he says that, you know, the attitude of the Canadian authorities are that is that, you know, in British Columbia, don't bomb a shop. In Ottawa, don't bomb a, you know, foreign embassy. Otherwise, you can, you know, spread any kind of venom, any, you know, against any country. And you are ready to indulge in any, you know, you are permitted to indulge in all sorts of activities as long as you do it outside the borders of your country. Now, you must be surprised that, you know, why didn't Canada take action on, you know, against the, you know, bombers of Kanishka? Because out of 329 people, 258 were Canadians and most of them were of Indian origin. So there was no pressing issue for him. And look at the, you know, duplicity that when 9/11 happened, 24 you know, Canadians died, and they sent 40,000 soldiers. You know, I'm talking about start from, you know, Operation Enduring Freedom 2000 until 2004. 40,000 soldiers. So this is the double standards, you know, of Canada and the Western countries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
and countries, in fact, have now started rallying behind India and pointing out and highlighting that double standard of Canada. Stay on with us, Colonel Arsen Singh. We also have defense analyst SP Sinha joining us on the broadcast. And there are several such Sandhus and Nijjars in Canada who've been provided a safe haven by Canada, who continue to freely operate from Canada, while the Prime Minister points fingers at India. SP Sinha, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I just wanted your comment on the situation in Canada, and given the reports that we are getting of terrorists, pro-Khalistani terrorists hiding in Canada, carrying out their operations freely, because the Canadian government believes that this is right to freedom and speech. And India has highlighted this several times. Nijjars and Sandhus continue to live there in Canada, you know, and carry on their propaganda against India, but their Prime Minister is busy pointing fingers at India.
This is the first question, is that Mr. Trudeau says that there is credible information that the government of India and its agents are involved in the death of Nijjar. My first question, is Nijjar a civilized citizen or is he a terrorist? Do you support terrorism? Why? How is it that Canadian intelligence agencies people have from time to time have been giving input to Khalistanis that their life is under threat? Isn't it the fact that just before death of Nijjar, two intelligence officers went to Sikhs in that area and said that the life of Nijjar is in danger? Talwinder Singh Parmar, Air India blast, 329 killed, out of that 270 were Canadians. How can the Prime Minister of a country not take any action against terrorist organization or few terrorists who are responsible for this massacre? You talk of sovereignty. Where is the sovereignty of India when Khalistani openly attack our embassy? They try to burn the embassy. they wrap Indian flag in the football and they start kicking that football? Isn't it a fact that there is international, maybe unwritten law?
All right. You have asked some very important questions and made some very important points. That those questions are at this point of time being asked of the Canadian government, of the Prime Minister of Canada, and there is no evidence and proof, like you said, in the public domain. Thank you very much, SP Sinha and Colonel RSN Singh as well. Let's once again listen to that audio conversation, the extortion call that was made. And Times Now does not vouch for this audio, but this audio has been doing the rounds of an extortion call made by Lakhbir Sandhu, who faces 18 criminal cases here in India.
ਹੈਲੋ ਹਾਂ ਵੀਰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਭਰਾ ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ ਆ ਲੰਡਾ ਬੋਲਣ ਨੇ ਹਰੀ ਗਿਆ ਤੋਂ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਭਰਾ ਐਵੇਂ ਭੱਜਾ ਫਿਰਦਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਂਦਾ ਫਿਰਦਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਮੰਗੇ ਜੇ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਫੋਨ ਲਾਇਆ ਤੇਰਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੀ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਹੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਵੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਭਰਾ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਭਰਾ ਹੁਣ ਤੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਲੈਣੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵੀ ਢੰਡੋਰਾ ਫਿਰਦਾ ਤੇ ਭੱਜ ਲੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਭੱਜਣਾ ਹੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਸੁਣਾ ਲਈ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ ਤਾਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਨੇ ਫੋਨ ਲਾਇਆ ਹੋਣਾ ਪੈਸੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਜੇ ਨਿਬੇੜਨਾ ਆਇਆ ਨਿਬੇੜ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਚਿਰ ਭੱਜੇਗਾ ਫਿਰ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਲਾਉਂਗਾ ਹੁਣ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਨੇ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਦੇਣੇ ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਵੇਖ ਲਿਓ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਲਾ ਲਈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਭੱਜਣਾ ਹੀ ਭੱਜ ਲਈ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਬਾਅਦ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵੈਰ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਉਂਗਲ ਦੇਣੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਜੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਬਚਾ ਲੈਣਗੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਦਾ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲਾ ਲਾ ਤੂੰ ਓਕੇ
Well, this is an undated audio tape where Sandhu is heard making an extortion call straight from Canada, which only goes on to show that he and other pro-Khalistani terrorists have been given a free run in Canada. A quick break. With that, news and updates will continue.